In this video, I want to let you all know what I learned at my first Sony Kando trip from some of the top creators in the entire world. Let's get it.
Yeah. What's up?
First thing it starts with is consistency. If you're not consistent, it's going to be hard to accomplish your goals. I had to take responsibility for me knowing in my brain what I need to do to win, and I'm not doing it. That was probably the most important lesson. Actually, the last, number 5, when I get to number 5, that's probably the most important thing I learned. But being consistent on any platform, in anything in your life, that is the main thing that I learned at Sony Kando. Gear does matter, but anything that you can think of other than the Sony Venice, which ironically, that's like the only thing I wanted to try out was the Sony Venice. And of course, they're not just renting Sony Venices out to people. Shout out to Sony if I want to still get my hands on that Venice one of these days. To say gear doesn't matter, I don't think that's tough because it does matter, but it doesn't matter until you get to a point where you know what to do with the gear, how to operate it. You've probably heard it a lot of times. I'm not gonna say the word obviously on here because sometimes it's not obvious. It really comes down to knowing how to use the gear once you get it. Like when you're watching YouTube and you see some of the gear that some of your favorite creatives have, it's hard not to want to inspire to have that same gear, but you gotta understand if you don't know how to use it, there is no reason to go out there and spend thousands of dollars on some of this gear. But also, if you plan to keep growing and keep getting better as a filmmaker, as a photographer, as an editor, you gotta get gear that's gonna match where you're trying to go. So like if you buy gear that is where you're at, when you get better, you're gonna outgrow that gear, so you're gonna have to go buy more gear anyway, if that makes sense. So speaking of gear, I need to go do some practice flights with my Sony Airpeak. Competition and comparison. I wanted to put those both together because it's hard to compare your beginning to someone else's middle, so don't try to do that. As a former college athlete, former college football player, competition is something that is in me. I'm from Lakeland, Florida. I played college football. I'm just a high-level competitor in most things that I do. But with that being said, you shouldn't be looking at other YouTubers or creators as competitors. It's good for you to be competing with yourself, and that's it. So really don't ever try to if you look at it as like this person's competition, that's person's competition, you just gotta stay in your lane. My guy Terry Warfield told me, the people want you because of your sauce. What he means by that is, if someone's watching you on your YouTube, that's because you're the one making the content, you're the originator. Like the way that you put your spin on what you're making makes you you. And people watch you to see, you guys get where I'm going with this. If I say you again, you guys aren't gonna like it. I think, in my personal opinion, after talking to all the creators at Kando, you looking at another creator as your competition isn't necessarily the best thing, because you really should be, your competition should be you. You should be trying to outdo your last video, your last picture, your last edit. You should be in competition with yourself. I'm not saying to not figure out what's going on, and don't lose your competitive edge. I can't tell you not to lose your competitive edge because I'm not gonna lose my competitive edge. But don't look at your other creators in your space as competition. Really try to use them for inspiration. That's all I'm saying. All right, I need to get this drawn up, and then we'll jump into the fourth thing. Let's get it.
Why do you have that vest? Those sticks can't control it.
So back in the office for number 4, be yourself, be authentic. So for me at Kando, I think one of the wildest things that for a first time Kando trip goer, to see everyone that I had been watching on YouTube and just get to see them interact. And it really was apparent that everyone was just being who they were. So for you and for me, being yourself, being authentic in all situations throughout your creative journey, that really is the key, because once you try to start doing something else, being somebody else, now you're stepping outside of your lane. Now you have to become an actor, and actors are very well paid because they're skilled at acting. You shouldn't be an actor, neither should I. So big shout out to C Kid, who was the creator who told me that advice while I was at Kando, is just be yourself, be authentic. And if people don't like you, and if you have to change to create this other thing for people, you don't really want that. So That was really a big one that I got from C-Kid. Number 5, last but not least, I told you guys in the beginning of the video that this was probably the most important thing I learned from my first Sony Kando trip. No one has all the answers. I just got the opportunity to be around the most talented creators in a lot of different spaces that do a lot of different things, and they're all of them were at the highest level. But for a lot of the conversations that I was having with some of your favorite creators, I kept hearing the same thing. And every time someone said it that like I had watched and learned from on YouTube, it like blew my mind. Every single time it was like, I don't have all the answers, or I'm still looking for answers. I'm still learning. I heard that statement about 20 different times from 20 different creators. I'm still looking for answers. I don't know it all. I'm still learning, improving, and growing. So to hear that from some of the best creators in the game, that they don't have all the answers, you and me, we really should. I feel a lot better now because I'm still trying to figure out a lot of this stuff when it comes to the content creation side of my personal brand, YouTube, staying consistent with Reels. That is something that I am looking for the answers as well. But I think that goes back to number 5, is the answer is just to keep working and keep looking and keep learning. That's all I got. Sony Kando was an amazing trip. Thank you to Sony for, again, I kind of know how I ended up there, but I really don't. I just want to keep on putting in work so that my things that I create can be seen by people like you. So shout out to everyone that was at the Kando trip 2023. Hopefully I see you guys again in 2024. So now that I learned a lot of the hard lessons from some of the best YouTubers in the world in person, you guys gotta subscribe to the channel just to see what I'm gonna do. And if I don't post something, then you guys know that I wasn't accountable. If you say you're gonna do something, you gotta do it. Let's talk more do. Peace.